Welcome along, fellow time travelers. This time around, we're going to travel back in time and check out the lives of the domestic servants who lived in the attic of the Dakota apartment building in the late 1800s. Now let's begin our journey. In the late 1800s, the Dakota, a towering architectural marvel on Manhattan's Upper West Side, stood as a beacon of wealth and grandeur. Its opulent apartments, sprawling across the first through the seventh floors, housed some of New York's elite, families like the Steinways, who lived surrounded by velvet drapes, gleaming chandeliers, and the warm crackle of roaring fireplaces in the wintertime. Yet, up on the 8th and 9th floors, in the attic's servant quarters, a different world unfolded, a place of modest comfort where Irish and other immigrants found opportunity and hope. Having fled the poverty of rural Ireland and Western Europe, where hunger haunted their villages, the domestic servants crossed the Atlantic, seeking a better life.
Weet moet juist kleuren, stoor. Feits wist du.
Ice, fresh ice.
They were fortunate to find work in the Dakota, a prestigious address that offered steady wages and a foothold in the bustling city of New York. The attic rooms, tucked beneath the Dakota's steeply pitched roof, were small but newly built, a far cry from the decrepit tenements many domestic servants had feared upon arriving in America. These spaces, many no larger than a pantry, boasted clean, cream-colored walls, their fresh paint emitting a crisp, faintly chemical scent that mingled with the beeswax polish of gleaming floorboards. Domestic servants shared rooms, each sleeping on narrow cots with neatly folded blankets that, while thin, offered sufficient warmth against the attic's mild chill. The windows along the east side framed glimpses of Central Park's treetops, rather than the desolate lots of the still developing Upper West Side to the north, south, and west sides of the Dakota. The faint cataclop, cataclop, cataclop of horse-drawn carriages and the whistle of wind through the city's unfinished streets occasionally drifted up, but the attic remained a quiet haven, punctuated only by the soft creak of floorboards or the gentle murmur of roommates sharing stories of their homeland, where they grew up. The domestic servants moved through the narrow hallways, the aprons of the ladies who worked in the bakery dusted with flour from hours in the basement's kitchen, their boots scuffing lightly on the unpolished wooden floors. The hallways, lit by the steady hiss of gas lamps, felt bright and orderly, its freshly painted walls reflecting the glow in soft, reassuring hues. Tin lanterns, a relic of habit, still sometimes flickered with a faint sound, casting gentle shadows of their silhouettes, gliding like quiet companions beside them. The air was clean, free of the damp mustiness of older buildings, and carried the warm tick of a radiator, a modern touch that eased the chill.
Did you get the potatoes peeled then, Mary?
Aye, they're ready for the pot, and the bread's nearly proved.
In the Dakota's basement kitchen below, the clatter of pots and the thump-thump of footsteps rose through the air, woven with a hum of Irish and Romanian voices who had left behind impoverished fields for the promise of New York. A sudden clang, perhaps a dropped tray and sarcastic slang, sparked a bit of joy in their shared routine. Sanitation, though simple, was manageable. The attic's toilets, a handful per floor, their pipes gurgling softly, were a step way up from the outhouses many of them knew in childhood. Domestic servants queued briefly for a quick scrub in a shared tin basin, the clank of metal buckets, a familiar rhythm as they hauled water. These conditions paled in comparison to the polished porcelain tubs they cleaned downstairs, scented with lavender soap. But these domestic servants felt no resentment. Their work at the Dakota was a source of pride, its wages supporting not only themselves, but their families back home. Meals, too, were modest but sustaining. By a shared stove, its crackle pop of burning wood warming the air, they stirred porridge in a battered pot, its blurp blurp blending with the of boiling water.
Such a treat this jam is.
Indeed it is, a bit of sweetness for us.
The aroma of potatoes and occasional scraps of meat or bread from the kitchen below filled the space. And a rare spoonful of jam, its sweet tang a shared treasure, drew quiet laughter as the domestic servants savored its fleeting luxury. The Dakota's hierarchy kept domestic servants separate from residents. Barred from the grand marble staircases that the residents used, the servants used a rattling servants' elevator, its clank-clank and faint grease scent marking their marginal status. They entered through a basement door near the coal bins, its sooty smell clinging to their clothes, far from the gas-lit West 72nd Street archway where carriages delivered the elite. Yet, the domestic servants found dignity in their labor, their Irish and Western European resilience binding them as they whispered dreams of saving enough to buy a small shop or send for siblings still in their homeland, so they too can come to New York and become Americans.
And to those we miss, may next year find us all together.
For the domestic servants, these small rooms were a place of hope, a clean, orderly refuge where domestic servants, united by their journey from poverty to possibility, built a modest but meaningful life in the heart of New York's grandeur, while they built new lives for themselves in the attic of the Dakota.
Look at that one. Isn't it grand? To new beginnings then. Aye, to America!
So, what do you think of life in the Dakota in the 1800s for the domestic servants? If you were a servant looking for work in the 1880s, would you work in a place like that? You know I would. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Kindly remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Please check out the links below to learn how to support my research and productions. This channel is sponsored by CampfireShop.com. Do me a favor and check them out, and buy some awesome candles, herbal supplements, teas, and more. Please join me over on Patreon for early access to shows like this and for bonus content. Kindly be kind to all of our fellow Earthlings and please do not harm them. And do yourself a favor and go to a local shelter and adopt a cat or a dog or both. You and they will be very glad that you did. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.